Okay, we're 10 seconds in. We have audio now. Today is going to be a fairly eclectic but also fairly short stream because I'm not dealing with the camera. I'm not going to go and get the other camera and make it work. So today's stream is going to be kind of we're mostly chatting while I work on things, and then I'll hold them up and show you what I've been doing. So first things first, figure I might as well show off some of the spooktacular drawings I've been doing. These are all being done in black and white, so they are very simple, and I don't have to worry about, nobody can really see the colors, because there are no colors. So it's fine that my camera that I'm working with, I don't know why Twitch insists that this camera needs to be black and white. I don't know. I don't get it. But I apparently decided earlier than normal that, hey, this is, instead of waiting until October and doing whatever spooky, drawings. Instead, I've just been doing spooky drawings up until now, including I don't know what kind of monster it is, but I drew it while trying to get my pen working, which now my pen's not working again today, so I drew this yesterday. It's some sort of vampire frog thing. I don't know. It was fun. But yeah, so I'm going to be trying to get my pen working. If I can get my held it up the wrong direction. If I can get it working, great, I'll draw something with it. If not, I've got embroidery and etch art right next to me that I can grab to work on. But I really want the pen working because my daily drawing is kind of part of my routine. Funny thing is, I was literally just this morning actually, showing my spouse how to use the calligraphy pens that I got him for his birthday. Well, actually, these I got him before his birthday because I had gotten a really cool calligraphy pen kit. It comes with some no, this pen's just not going to work for me today. Well, that's annoying. Alright, I'll use the other pen. I'm just not as thrilled because it's got colored ink in it, so it's not going to show up as well on the stream. But it's fine. I'll just do a quick, simple drawing. In fact, I'm just going to... It's orange ink, so a pumpkin seems fitting. Even though I already drew a pumpkin recently, as you saw, the pumpkin with the hay bale. If I were being smart about this, what I would do is I would draw to show how the pumpkin's been carved. But I'm not being smart about it because why would I be? I'm never smart about things. So instead it's just going to be a simple, well, maybe I can my kids and I will be doing pumpkin carving with the foam craft pumpkins at some point during Halloween, during the month of October, for one of my Spooktober streams. But we'll just have to see how I decide to decorate that particular jack-o'-lantern. I'll show you guys this one in just a minute. I'm almost done with it. When I tell people that it does not take me long to draw something once I have the idea, I mean it, because most of my drawings are very simple, not difficult drawings. My method of writing short stories is similar. It's idea comes and oh look, I'm done. There we go. Jack-o'-lantern. Again, not easy to see because the orange does not show up well on camera. That's why when I do the watercolor streams, I have to use the other camera. And I was planning to do a watercolor stream today, but I'm not screwing with the camera. It's too much right now. Okay. So, instead, we're going to do a little bit of etch art. I think I've shown these off before. They're pre-printed with the image and the colors underneath. You just decide what you're going to scratch off, which reveals the colors. So in the case of this, which is covered in dust, I've decided to not scratch off parts of the outfit that she's wearing. So now instead of being, oh, I just have leaves over my boobs, she's wearing a crop top under the leaves, because you don't want to just have leaves on your boobs. They could potentially have like toxins that make your boobs break out in a rash, or they could have bugs, and the bugs could do bad things to your skin. I also decided that instead of her legs actually being part of a tree, she's wearing a skirt, and that skirt is I just lost words. That skirt is what we are seeing that is black. Okay. But we're going to go ahead. I'm going to etch some of these areas. I do wish that I could, that I did have the camera, because I would love to show you guys how it looks as I'm doing it, where I'm literally uncovering. Let me see if I can. So right now we're working on this little bird here. I'm taking care to only uncover the bird itself. I am not uncovering the wings and the tail, because I like that very stark contrast that you guys can't see because camera. But there's a very stark contrast between the wings and the dadgummit. Okay, well, I guess I do have to do the whole bird, not just the wings and tail, because I just screwed up. So. You guys can't see anything anyway. I don't know why I'm trying to demonstrate. I should work on the embroidery. The embroidery is easier to see. Probably going to finish this bird and then swap over to the embroidery, because again, the embroidery is easy to see. This bird, very much not. At least not with that camera. It is a very pretty bird, I'll say that. It's got bright green feathers and bright pink wings, and for some odd reason they gave it a black bill, which is weird. It's not a color you would actually see on a bird's bill normally. Like some chickens have black bills, but it's things like the Ayasmani, where everything is black, you know. Like that entire bird, even the bones and the blood are black. But these birds here are not Ayasmani, because they're not chickens, and chickens are very much different than the birds. You can tell a chicken when you see it. Trying to decide what next. I see there are more of the flowers that I'd been uncovering. Don't actually know what kind of flowers they are, but they're flowers. Something bright and pink. And I will say with the etch art, I do make it a point to do the outlines first. Just like when I'm painting with watercolors, I do the outlines first so that I can then do the insides without worry about screwing up, going outside the lines, things like that. So with etch art, I do the same thing. I etch the outer edges of whatever I'm working on, and then I move on to the inside, inner parts. I did see if I had been able to bother with the camera, which again, probably not going to mess with the camera today at all because no. But mostly because the camera I have to have for work because it's a work camera, and my boss keeps wanting to do these meetings with cameras on, and so then I have to scramble to make certain that the camera's at my desk instead of, you know, at my personal desk. And I'm sure work would throw some fit about what if your computer has a virus and infects your camera and then infects your work computer when you plug it in, and like that I mean, yes, viruses can go from a shared device to another shared device, but it's generally not the camera, because the camera, especially the one he gave me for work, doesn't actually save any data. The only data on it's not a writable data. It's read-only, and it is literally okay, we're going to install the software for this camera. But I don't want to risk them throwing a fit. Not that anyone who, you know, not that anyone I work with follows my stream. I have like one person I work with who potentially would watch, but they tend to be working when I'm streaming, so okay. We went ahead and did the flowers up in this top corner and this one bird, and we're going to call it at that because, again, you guys can't see the colors, so what's the point? So, setting that aside, and we're going to do embroidery. Now, I have been working on this little piece. Thus far, I've completed this one up here. So this one is entirely done with stem stitches. This one is stem stitches, so the stem stitches are up the center, then satin stitches which are on the leaves, and then there's the little French knots, which I'm very bad at. This one is stem stitches, and then it's got the French knots again. And so it looks like I need to do some more stem stitches to finish this one out. And then I can move on to other pieces. I'm going to have to do satin stitch on these larger leaves for this. And then I'll need a different color for these pieces, which are going to be done with a different stitch that I haven't actually learned yet. So, one moment. Okay, so stem stitches are done with a single thread of the color you're working with. So I've got to pull off a single thread. It's doing that weird thing where it wants to kink up on itself. Drop that. It helps to use your fingers to actually hold the thread separate, so it can't do that I'm going to kink up on myself thing as easily. It's still going to try, obviously, but it's not as easy, which means less hassle for you. Okay. You don't have to wet your thread. It's if you don't like the idea of having saliva on a thread that you're potentially going to be adding to, say, a Christmas gift for somebody, things like that. You can always use a needle threader. I just am not bothering right now because I don't know if I'm actually going to give this to anybody since it's my first time making something with embroidery. It's literally a sampler. It's a let's test this out, but haven't decided yet. We'll see. I'd kind of like to do eventually a piece that is a mix of cross stitch and embroidery. You know, try one, then add the other as part of it. But that's mostly because I'm much better with cross stitch than embroidery, so you know. And there's a lot of really cool cross stitch patterns out there. Like every now and then I'll go on a binge and search Etsy for cross stitch patterns, and holy crud, there's just so many. Oh, change our camera a bit. Alright, this by the way is the back of the piece. Doesn't look nearly as good as the front, but that's okay because I don't believe in that whole your back of your piece must look as good as the front does. Nah, nobody has time for that. It's too much effort. Okay. Sorry. Back hurts. The eternal refrain of the office worker and the crafter both. And if you're an office worker who crafts, well, you're just at a complete loss, aren't you? So the way the stem stitch is supposed to work is you go back and you stitch into the stitch you just created, and then you come up again, because threads do have, even the thinnest thread you use for embroidery and stuff is made of other tinier threads that are together. Like this particular, just a single strand of this, I think it's just crochet cotton embroidery thread, is made up of like 2 threads together for it. And they are woven together super, super tight, but you can still fit the needle up and through the middle of them. Debating if I want to do satin stitch on the center of these. I think I'm going to. Or, sorry, not satin stitch. Well, I just lost words. Yay! Stem stitch. The same stitch I've been using. Up the center. And then I will come back with a different color to do the outsides. Or maybe I'll do the outsides in the same color as the thing, but then I'll fill in with satin stitch between the two colors. That could be fun. Okay, it will be probably a pretty short stream. I'm gonna try for, maybe an hour, but I can't guarantee I'll be able to do that. My back is killing me. I've got other stuff I need to do around the house. Eventually, once I replace this laptop, which it won't be replaced, it'll just be, I'll use it mostly as I'm going to chat with people, while I am at my work desk, even though I'm not supposed to. I'm supposed to be so strict about having electronics at my desk that so I have to use my phone to access the authenticator. Okay, the authenticator is something that I require to access many of my work systems. But I am supposed to, as soon as I finish using that authenticator to access the work systems, I'm supposed to get up from my desk, walk, and put my phone outside of the room that I'm in. Which, given that I have systems that insist on me using the authenticator every single time I access them, and I access those particular systems, 10, 20, if I'm taking calls, it can be like upwards of 30 times in a night. Well, it would just take longer for me to get up from my desk, walk away every single time I have to access that authenticator. And that's just going to make for more unhappy customers because they're having to wait for, what they assume should be a quick and simple thing, which sometimes it is. If what I'm accessing is, okay, why is your debit card not working? But if I'm having to get up and walk away to use the authenticator every single time, that's going to delay things a lot. So, yes, it's a requirement that I use that particular tool, and that I'm not supposed to have it at my desk. But until they get me, which they've been promising to get me since January, the authenticator that doesn't require me using my phone, they're going to have to deal. Which is going to be really fun when they decide we go back to the office, because when we go back to the office, we're supposed to keep our phones in our locker instead of in the building, in the office. At the moment, I don't even have a locker. I don't even have a badge. I can't even get in the office right now. So, and I keep seeing rumors they want us to go back to said office, which I can tell you is going to go over like a crate of lead balloons. Because we've got a lot of people who, okay, great, I don't have to be at the office anymore, which means I don't have to drive into the office every day, so I'm going to move to this city that's like an hour drive away. I mean, one of my team leads, it's an hour and 45 minutes drive to get to work every day because they live far enough away. It was great when they could work work from home, but apparently they've just made it a rule that team leads have to be in the office. Yet another reason I don't want to be a team leader. I like working from home. It means that I can, not have to worry about, okay, did I make my lunch? did I, you know, which is especially important because for me, a lot of times I'm doing like a salad and a TV dinner. And basically what I do is I eat the salad while I'm waiting for the TV dinner to cook, which means that I will probably eat less than the full TV dinner when I get to it. Or at least that's the goal. Generally what it means is I eat the salad and a TV dinner, but hey, at least I'm getting veggies in me. Gotta count for something, right? But if I'm having to do, you know, eating at work, then that's going to be a real hassle for me because it means I have to not only remember to make something to take, you know, I can't just, okay, I've got these things stocked in my fridge or in my freezer, and then I get them out as I need them. No, it'll be okay, what am I going to eat today? Okay, I have to make a decision before I can even head for work. And I don't know if y'all have ever heard the term decision fatigue, but I get that very badly. If I have to make too many choices in too short a time, I will be unable to make even simple choices because I've already used up all of the capabilities that let me make those choices. Like, there's just nothing left in the tank. And so right now, I don't really have to make choices because I don't have to think about, okay, which salad am I eating, which TV dinner. I just can grab one because they're all, you know, right there, handy and ready for me. And I don't have to think about which one I'm getting. Which, yeah, I don't necessarily have to think about which one I'm grabbing if I'm going to be cooking it at work, but at the same time I have to think, okay, well, I've only got X amount of time to get from our room, the room that we work in, which is, by the way, at the farthest end of the building from the cafeteria, and has a secure doorway, so you have to have your badge to get in it. But I have to think, okay, what am I going to have time to grab and take from the, take out of the package, or cook it, get sitting down and eat it, have time to go to the bathroom still, and still be back to the office in time to get back to work before my lunch timer ends, you know, because I've only got 30 minutes. Which, by the way, a 30-minute lunch period is ridiculous, especially for an office worker. Especially for an office worker who is in a situation where they can't eat at their desk. Because I'm not allowed to eat at my desk. My last job would let me, not this one. It's a good thing my last job let me, given how often I had to work through lunch. Because they just never staffed enough people to cover it. Sorry, answering the question real quick. Okay. As a reminder, by the way, I can see the chat right now. One of the perks of doing a crafting stream as opposed to a gaming stream, my crafts don't cover up the screen, so I can and do work where I can see the chat. Eventually I'm going to figure out how to view the chat on my phone so I can watch it while I'm gaming, or even, you know, something like set up to watch the stream on one laptop and actually do the stream on the other when I get the new laptop. I'm almost to my savings goal, so that's nice. As long as nothing comes up where I have to drain that account, which, knock on wood there, because I've had to do it more than once. I would have already had the laptop by now if it weren't for that. But, c'est la vie, right? Can't plan for life. Okay, so I'm gonna swap colors. Which ones you guys should dead come on. I just realized I left my needle threader at the other desk and I don't feel like getting up to get it. So I'm just going to do a single strand and just continue stem stitching on this other area that I'm doing. Oh, come on. Stop that. There we go. There are some shops here in town that I'm still planning to visit at some point. I just have not found the time or energy. By the way, if you're not using a needle threader, one of the easier ways to put things onto a needle is, instead of trying to poke the thread through the needle, you fit the needle over the thread. Makes it so much easier. Okay, set that down while I tie my knots. You always want to do at least a double knot. In my case, I inevitably do a triple because I just don't trust my doubles because they are very small. And this is to provide an anchor point on the project so that the thread doesn't just go sliding straight through the holes that you've already made. You know, nothing more frustrating than you're like several inches along of very tiny, delicate stitches, and then you realize that the yarn tail is following and has been coming out of said tiny, delicate stitches the whole way. Very annoying, very frustrating. Okay. So I think I'm gonna do stem stitches on this one, and then I'm gonna go back and do satin stitches on the leaves so it'll look kind of the opposite of the one that I've already done, which had the stem stitches in the lighter color and the satin stitches in the darker. I seem to be primarily using 3 colors with this particular project. The light green, which is kind of a light olive green, I'd say. The darker green, which I'd say is almost a blue-green. And that is why we should wear a thimble. Or at least pay attention to how we're holding our embroidery hoop. So we can see before we stab ourselves with the needle. Because these are sharp little needles. But yeah, the light olive green, this dark blue-green, it is the color that I would refer to as myrtle. I'm sure it's got a proper name, but to me it always makes me think of the leaves of a myrtle tree. I'm sure it's a case like puce where the color you're picturing is not what the actual color is. Like most people that I know, when they hear the word puce, they picture green. Almost a puke green, honestly. Probably the association of the PU and then a C, we're mentally substituting a K. I think that's why most people do it, but it's actually a shade of pink. Kind of a dusty pink, I'd say. It's honestly not an unpleasant color, and it's sad that everybody associates it with such an unpleasant color. Inevitably, when someone actually sees puce, they go, oh, that's puce. I assume eventually I will remember to look up what myrtle leaves look like, and I'll go, wait, that's not the color I thought it was. It's just been a very long time since I've seen myrtle leaves. I don't think that particular tree grows around here very often. I think it's a cultivated one. Hold on. That's a trick that is something I just started doing on my own. But if you're having a problem with the excess thread getting caught under other threads, and therefore, making a mess of the back, and meaning you have to untangle knots and stuff, I just start wrapping the excess thread up and around the stem of the embroidery hoop, and it keeps it out of my way. I know there's fancy things like needle minders and thread minders and all sorts of stuff, but I don't happen to have any of those. I love the needle minders. They're adorable, the ones that I've seen, but I just haven't gotten any, and, I make do as I find ways to do so. Sorry, my back is killing me. Probably because I've been sitting hunched over like a gremlin while working on various projects, which is why I'm trying to sit back right now. Yeah, today was going to be a let's use rubber cement to repair some damaged items. Things that, either got broken in the move or they got broken before we moved, and I just hadn't fixed them yet. But again, that was I would have to screw with the camera. I'm not screwing with the camera. I don't even know if my coworker that I tend to want on shift with me is going to be there today. At this point, there's only 2 days a week where I even could take calls because we're so busy, and I'm the only floor support for 3 out of the 5 days I work. So the only 2 days I can take calls are the ones where the other floor support is there, but half the time that particular floor support calls in. Sorry. In good news, it's not the same pain as I used to have constantly. It's now my back from mid-back to up to neck in a band right around my shoulder blades. At the base of my shoulder blades, I should specify. As opposed to being all my lower back. So, small miracles, I guess. Tiny good things. Either way, it's very uncomfortable right now. So this little piece I'm doing right now has French knots too. This whole thing is what, it's effectively a sampler. It's a, hey, you're gonna learn these new knots and try them out. So we've got lots of things that you have to use those particular knots on. Which is fine, because it's my first embroidery project, so, you know, kind of need to learn those skills. I mean, my first French knots that I did were just absolutely horrific. I've gotten much better at them. You know, having had a bit of practice by doing all the French knots. Don't enjoy them, but I'm learning them. And honestly, I'd probably enjoy them a lot more if I was better at them. So hopefully with time I will start enjoying them.
Don't remind me.
And thankfully, you know, nature is not necessarily everything precise and perfect. It is very much messy and chaotic, and so my little mistakes that I'm making work very well. Because it just emulates the fact that, again, nature, messy and chaotic. Once I end the stream, I'm going to have to go remind my kids to take their medicine for the night. And hopefully get one of them in the shower so that when it's a bit closer to bedtime, the other can take their shower. Shower time had gotten much easier for a long time because, you know, the boys could take their showers themselves. They weren't just flat out refusing to take showers, etc. But shower time has now once again become fraught because of one of my sons dealing with OCD, which results in him, he wants to take the shower. He knows he needs to take the shower, but he can't get himself to take the shower because of this, that, and the other. And it's nothing that he doesn't want to be doing any of this stuff. He doesn't want to be struggling with his mental health, let's face it. This is, none of this is enjoyable for him. It results in a lot of fighting with his brother, fighting with me, fighting with his other dad. He doesn't want to fight with any of us. Fighting with the roommate. It's mental health is so frustrating. And I don't mean just for those of us around people who are struggling. I mean, nobody that's struggling with a mental illness is enjoying it. I mean, sure, we make jokes, those of us who are neurodivergent. I don't suffer from my mental mental illness. I enjoy every moment of it. But the thing is that particular humor, it's not true. We are absolutely suffering from our mental health. It's just that we make those jokes because we're trying to keep up a brave face despite the suffering. And, I mean, when you're being accused of things based on, well, this is what this other person believes about you regarding your mental illness, when other people are making the assumption, well, they just want to act like that, that's when you take that somewhat self-deprecating humor, because you're just trying to cover up the fact that, someone just hurt you by saying that you want to act like that. You want to do those things. And, it's a protective measure, basically. I don't want to do this, but I'm going to pretend that I do because you already think that, and at least if I'm pretending that I want to do it, then then it looks like there's a reason to it. It's not, well, I'm just doing this because I'm a bastard, Seriously, though, nobody wants to be struggling with mental illness. It's miserable. I mean, yeah, sometimes it can be fun to have a brain that's like, I'm going to categorize X, Y, and Z, and you'll have all of these fun lists, and you'll learn all these cool facts, and I'm hyper-focused on this one thing, so I get really, really good at it, but that doesn't make up for the fact that, we have to literally, in a lot of cases, structure our lives to accommodate that mental illness. Such as, well, I know that my brain is going to hyperfixate on X, and therefore I'm not going to be able to step away from X to do Y unless... And then we have to go through these whole rituals of 12 different alarms, and, and a lot of us not being able to do X thing that we enjoy because Y thing is coming up, and we know that if we are doing X thing that we enjoy and Y thing happens, we're just going to miss it because we are too busy with the thing we enjoy. There's the fact that, I know that I definitely struggled with doing homework as a kid because homework wasn't enjoyable, and my brain would much rather do this other thing, and even though I knew the homework needed to be done, and I would even sit and try to make myself do it, and my brain would just flat out refuse to focus on it because it wasn't what my brain wanted to be doing. And it's not a... I know that a lot of people who are not dealing with things like ADHD, which is one of the things I'm dealing with. I also deal with anxiety and depression, but I deal with insomnia, but it gives me the symptoms of anxiety and depression. But being unable to make yourself focus, unable to make yourself do a task, no matter how much it needs to be done, because your brain sometimes you even want to do the task, like you actively want to do it, but your brain just is like, no, we're not. It's not what I want. And then you go through this series of, well, what do you want? Okay, so you don't want to do, sorry, I keep having to adjust how I'm sitting for the sake of my back. But you're like, okay, brain, well, if you don't want to do this necessary work task. What do you want to do? Let's fulfill what you want, and then maybe we can get back to the work task. But your brain won't tell you what it wants you to do. It's just going to refuse things until you manage to find the right one. Like, okay, do you want to play video games? We can play video games for this short amount of time, and then we will go back and do the work task. Your brain doesn't want to play video games. No. Okay, well, do you want to paint? Let's paint. No. Do you want to write? No. Do you want to sculpt things with clay? No. Do you want to play with Lego? Maybe. And so you just keep trying and trying and trying different things until finally you find the one thing that your brain's like, okay, yeah. But good luck getting the work task done then. Because you'll do, however long you set as your, okay, this is the set amount I'm going to do, and then I'm going to do the work task. And you will go, okay, cool, I have finished everything. I've got the work task right here in front of me. Let's go, let's get started. And then you will have the unenviable, nah, not gonna do it. And you're stuck going, you said you would. Why are we not doing it? Because I don't want to. And then you tell yourself, well, I'm just lazy. Or, well, I'm just really bad at it. Or, oh, I can't organize. I can't do X thing. I can't do Y thing. I'm a terrible person. All of these things, most of which were lies, but you don't realize they're lies because it's not that you can't do it. It's not that you're just lazy or anything like that. It's that you're dealing with a brain that's like a petulant toddler and will only want to do what it wants to do. And if you try to make it do something else, it's just going to flat out refuse. Like, believe me, if you've ever dealt with a petulant toddler, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Oh, I want my food cut up in pieces shaped like dinosaurs. Okay, so you cut the pieces up to look like a dinosaur. You use a cookie cutter to do it because heaven knows nobody has the artistic skill. Well, I'm sure there are some people, but nobody has the time, if they have the artistic skill, if they've got a toddler, to be wasting that artistic skill on cutting chicken nuggets to look like dino nuggets, even if when you couldn't actually buy dino nuggets. But then you get all those dino nuggets cut using a cookie cutter, only for your brain to go, but you didn't cut them into Tyrannosaurus, you only cut them into Stegosaurus, because Stegosaurus was the cookie cutter you had, because 5 weeks ago your child was obsessed with Stegosaurus, and so you got a Stegosaurus cookie cutter, and now your child is sitting there crying at the kitchen table because you're trying to make it eat Stegosaurus nuggets when it really wants Tyrannosaurus nuggets, and you don't have a Tyrannosaurus cookie cutter, and you have no way to put the nuggets back together to turn them into the T-Rex that your son wants, or child wants. So, yeah, that's what it's like having an ADHD brain and trying to get it to do anything that it doesn't want to do. So just picture yourself as that parent struggling with your child's random decision that Tyrannosaurus nuggets are much better than Stegosaurus nuggets, and they will only eat Tyrannosaurus nuggets. They will never touch Stegosaurus nuggets. Why would you ever dare think they would enjoy Stegosaurus nuggets? Etc., etc. When you're dealing with your brain doing that, it's not you that's the problem. It's the circumstances dealt by time, fate, whatever you want to call it. But it's definitely not you. Alright. That said, we have made some progress. It's not a ton of progress, but we did get this done this part done, this done, this part down here done. And so what we're going to do, we're going to stop the stream here. I've got to start. I don't have to get ready for work quite yet, but I do have to do the, okay, have the kids taken their meds? Have they gotten their chores done? All of that stuff that is such a fun part of being a parent. You'd think with them being 15, I wouldn't have to worry about that now, but c'est la vie. That said, I do want to thank everyone who came out for the stream tonight. Next week starts our Spooktober gaming and crafting streams. So I do want to, again, thank everyone who came out today. I hope you enjoyed watching me work and listening to me ramble. But I will see you guys next week. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. See you next stream.